Research says resilience and grit determine quality of life in a crisis. But what is resilience? Who are the ordinary people doing extraordinary things while staying healthy and safe during COVID? How do they persevere with passion in the middle of a public health crisis? Join us as they share their stories and show us everything.
It's Sunday night, and welcome back to Show Us Everything. My name is Jimmy G, here with my best friend Kyle Ward, and tonight, food insecurity during COVID-19. And most recent studies are showing over 50 million Americans are experiencing food insecurity during this pandemic. Tonight is going to be a great episode, Kyle.
It is a serious episode with some heavy undertones, but fortunately a number of grassroots and established organizations have popped up in the community to try to alleviate this serious issue.
Exactly. We're going to stop at Lunch Break in Red Bank, New Jersey, talk to Gwen Love, the executive director. Lunch Break, for the last 4 decades, have been feeding hungry families throughout New Jersey. They are very busy right now. We're also going to talk to Chef Tyrone Burr, who distributes the food to the families around the Jersey Shore and around the entire state of New Jersey. Food insecurity, COVID-19. This is Show Us Everything. Let's do it. What's up? It's Jimmy G. Clearly at Lunch Break in Red Bank. 2 important topics we're going to go over today. Food insecurity throughout the entire state of New Jersey and throughout the Jersey Shore, in addition to volunteerism. And a lot of important topics at Lunch Break. I was able to talk with Gwen Love in addition to Tyrone Burr, 2 wonderful people who work their tails off here at Lunch Break. We're going to get more information about this wonderful organization. And once again, at the Lunch Break in Red Bank, let's get to it. Lunch Break in Red Bank, here with the executive director, Gwen Love. Gwen, before we get into the details about things, simply, how are you doing?
Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Doing well, considering everything, doing really well.
And for the viewers, you're in Red Bank. Just a brief history about Lunch Break. Okay.
We're 37 years young, getting ready to celebrate 38 years this year in March. And Lunch Break started because they saw that there was a need in the community to feed people. There were a lot of people that were experiencing hunger. And it really started just as a soup kitchen in a church right around the corner, actually. And it started as a soup kitchen. Went from there. They saw the need for the pantry, create the pantry, the food pantry. Mm-hmm. Then it went from clothing. So it just continually built on what the needs were of the community. It's a 501c organization. We have a board of trustees, and that helped in terms of govern the organization. Mm-hmm. And we have a staff of 21. Okay. And in pandemic times, we have close to 2,000 volunteers that come in to help us as well. Wow. To run the organization. So there's a lot of community support.
And that's awesome. And Lunch Break is geared towards people throughout the Jersey Shore, or even people throughout the entire state of New Jersey, correct?
It's definitely geared toward all of Monmouth County. Okay. And also Ocean County as well. So we have people coming really, and we don't turn anyone away anyway. So if you did come from any other area in New Jersey or outside of New Jersey, we wouldn't turn you away. But we would always try to get you to, go to your local areas, because there's a lot more support in your local neighborhood.
Briefly, what's a Monday through Sunday hours and hectic? How's it work, a daily operation?
So before pandemic, one of the things we believe that Lunch Break is known for is the community, sense of community and fellowship. And so, coming into our dining room it's the TV is on, the people, know each other, but the people are coming in, and there's the dining room, and then there's the food pantry where before the pandemic, it was a client choice pantry, so people could come in and walk around and shop for their food, which is really pretty awesome. We have a clothing department downstairs, and so the same thing. People were able to come in and shop for the clothing that they needed for their family. So the thing is that it's community. We have so many other resources. We have mentorship programs for women, for children, cooking classes for children. So there's just so many other resources that we have. And then a few years ago, we started a life skills center, which is an off-site location in Shrewsbury. And so, lunch break is not just feeding, but we're actually helping the people get, their lives back for job interviews and the ESL classes to help those that need, to strengthen their English as well. So we think of it as an all-encompassing organization. We help you from, help for today that's needed for your emergency needs, and then help for tomorrow to help you become self-sufficient in taking care of yourself and your family.
Absolutely. And this last year, COVID-19, the pandemic, how has Lunch Break geared their operations throughout such a difficult time?
Well, we, like everyone else, we really had to quickly, basically over a weekend, really change the way we ran our operation so that instead of coming in and sitting down and having a nice breakfast or having a nice lunch, we are still providing a meal. Our thing was we were not going to miss a meal. So we ended our normal operation on a Saturday, and then on Monday we opened up with a grab and go. So that's how we've been operating now, with the grab and goes. Giving out the door. We've had to make some changes in our structure of our building to accommodate that as well. And the same with the food pantry. So the pantry is, they drive through if they have a car, they pop their trunk, the volunteers and staff go out with the food. And if you're a walker, we actually purchased a lot of the carts so that the walkers would not be burdened to try to carry bags, because some of them live, very, very locally. And then after we realized this was going to be kind of long term, everything was transitioned to virtual. So our Life Skills Center programs are all virtual.
Wow.
The classes. So they're still helping people with their resumes and their job skills and finances and things like that. All that's happening. We transitioned our children's cooking classes to virtual also. So now it's Cooking with Your Heroes, and it's virtual, and it's really been a very great success.
Where can people find your Zoom accounts or your social media accounts?
We have a Twitter, we have our website is www.lunchbreak.org. We have on Instagram, very, very active on Instagram actually.
Great.
So, and then if you want to, still stop by and just wave at us, because you can't come in, we're at 121 Dr. James Parker Boulevard, Red Bank.
That's pretty awesome, Gwen. Food insecurity, a lack of food, has doubled for residents throughout the entire state of New Jersey. Right. Have you been seeing different numbers, different family members, people that you've never even met before throughout the years?
We certainly have, and we anticipated that right away. The moment things were shutting down, and the whole thing was going to people, having to apply for unemployment, and that whole thing was bottlenecked. We knew we were going to see people that had never even heard of Lunch Break, never been here. So our numbers have definitely doubled, like in most places, for the kitchen as well as for the pantry. So the message really is, and has been, and really even before the pandemic, is that Lunch Break is here for you, regardless of what your situation is. So, we've definitely seen that uptick as well.
And transitioning to volunteering now. Volunteering has helped people throughout the pandemic as well, mentally, physically, just getting out and about and doing something good during a pandemic. How's the crew?
The crew is great, but unfortunately we lost a lot of volunteers. A lot of our volunteers are older, and they weren't able to come in.
Wow.
So right from the very beginning, they started dropping off, and understandably so, because they're trying to be safe. And so we have some volunteers that are kind of new to Lunch Break, and some of the former ones did come back. They're doing wonderful. Honestly, we couldn't do this without them. Even though things are leaner inside, even half of our staff is still working at home. And some are coming in, but the volunteers, if it were not for them, honestly, we could not keep things going. Their spirits are great, but they're concerned too. They're also very, very concerned because the numbers are still, and the outside world are still high.
And for you, Gwen, it's been a tough year, an interesting year, something you've never really, witnessed before as you run Lunch Break. What's keeping you going at the end of the day? Obviously, you're passionate about the job, but what's the, waking up every day, Monday morning, coming to do an interview in 20-degree weather, what's the passion behind all this?
Well, first of all, I love what I do. I absolutely love Lunch Break, and the people that we serve they need us. They're depending on Lunch Break to be here, and I think that, the board and the staff, we never even contemplated not being open at all.
Awesome.
That was not even an option. And so, you know, there's the need. That's what we're here for. We're here to fill the need, and we knew that with the pandemic that we were going to be needed even more. Just being here for some people, you know, it's a big deal to see that we're still open, to have some kind of human contact. Our lunch guests, our clients in the pantry, they're constantly asking, when are you going to open? They want to come in. They really want to come in.
That's
they
awesome.
miss the camaraderie that's here. They miss the fellowship. And we miss them, so we can't let them down. We're not here to let them down.
How can people throughout the community help you and help Lunch Break?
Well, money is always what's needed, always what's needed. But just honestly, at this point, keep us in prayer. Wear your mask so that we can, you know, shut this virus down.
As we wrap it up real quick, talk about your social media links again for the viewers out there.
So Lunch Break is www.lunchbreak.org. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also even LinkedIn.
Gwen, thank you so much for your time, and I know you're a busy lady. We really appreciate what you do throughout the Jersey Shore, throughout the entire state of New Jersey. Thank you.
My honor. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
And now we are with Tyrone Burr, the Culinary Operations Director. Tyrone, I'm going to ask the same exact question I asked Gwen to kick it off. Simply, how you doing, man?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. You know, by the grace of God, I'm blessed. Doing all right.
How were culinary operations going so far throughout the pandemic?
Well, things have changed a lot.
Okay.
You know, with the whole COVID thing, man, we have everything is grab and go now. A lot of our programs we had to adapt to this whole pandemic thing. You know, like our outside feeding programs that we do, like the Boys and Girls Club. We're not able to do that anymore, even though we still provide them with lunch every day because they're doing schooling.
And for the viewers, a daily operation with meals, how many meals are you handing out, and even things behind the scenes with clothes as well and stuff like that? What's the daily scene look like when people are rolling up and getting what they need?
We're pushing out maybe like close to 300 meals per day.
Wow, okay.
You know, we have a homebound feeding program which we deliver to the seniors, you know, so we still do that. It's been kind of rough, but we get it done. You know, we make sure no one misses a meal.
Do you have, it's like a unique question, but do you have someone you look up to or someone who has maybe helped you grow to do something that you do? Because it takes a special heart to do the job that you do.
God, I just look up to God, man.
Hey, when in doubt, it's a great answer.
That's it. Just look up to God.
Moving forward throughout the pandemic, hopefully this wraps up within the next few months by May or summer. We don't really know. But to wrap up the pandemic, if it even wraps up, what are you hoping Lunch Break, possibly succeeds at the end of this pandemic?
I just hope we continue on. Well, we will continue on. To make sure that no one misses a meal, you know. We just hope that eventually, you know, no one knows the future. New procedures we'll have to probably adapt into the end of pandemic, you know, to carry on and make sure it doesn't happen again.
I asked Gwen the same question. Food insecurity has doubled throughout New Jersey, and she saw families and people throughout the Jersey Shore and throughout the entire state showing up that she's never even seen before.
Absolutely.
Are you seeing the same thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing faces that we've never seen before. A lot of families, faces that you would never think, you know, that are food insecure. You'd be surprised. You would be surprised. It's not just people who are in poverty, you know, it's working class moms and dads and stuff like that who, you know, don't know. So that's why we're here.
Exactly. And talk about your crew, some of the folks you work with. I'm sure you have some good friends that you go to battle with every single day.
I have a great staff, you know, that sticks by me, you know, and my group of volunteers that come in, call them Old Faithfuls because they show up no matter what. They're here. Sometimes they're here before I'm here. So, you know, we get the job done. They know what we have to do. They know the need is there, and we just make a great team.
clearly you have a passion about this, and whether it's pandemic world or not, what's keeping you motivated to help so many people?
A lot of prayer. Just a lot of prayer, And this is what I do. This is what I was put here for. This is why I was led here, lunch break, So this is what I do. I can't see myself doing anything else.
We appreciate your time and you, Gwen, the entire staff at Lunch Break, everything that you do for really everyone throughout the Jersey Shore and the state. We greatly appreciate it, and good luck with everything, and forge ahead. This will be over soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Chef Tyrone Burr of Lunch Break. This is Show Us Everything, Food Insecurity. A special thank you to Gwen Love, the Executive Director at Lunch Break. Hopefully next time, Kyle, we can be inside and, they have to follow state guidelines and do what they have to do as an essential organization. So that was Lunch Break in Red Bank.
That's right. The next thing we did was meet up with Joe Grillo and the Asbury Park dinner table. Him and his spectacular team, in 3 days within the pandemic, were able to not only come up with a solution that benefited restaurants and their employees, but also benefited the local community. We're going to have a great interview. Kyle Ward here. We're in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where food insecurity is a huge issue that's affected this community and communities globally during the COVID-19 pandemic. But Joe Grillo and his staff at the Asbury Park dinner table have been working tirelessly to solve this issue by providing prepackaged hot meals to those in need, which has then helped local businesses, restaurants, and their employees. It's going to be a fantastic interview. Let's get in there and experience it. Guys, so I'm with the wonderful Joe Grillo at one of the pickup points here for Asbury Park dinner table. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what your organization does?
Sure. So my name is Joe Grillo. I'm a co-founder of Asbury Park Dinner Table. Our mission is to support local restaurants and feed local families. The way we do that is essentially we take private donations, corporate sponsorships, we pay restaurants to actually make food that is then distributed to several distribution points throughout Asbury Park. And this came about because of what was going on in March with the lockdowns and the shutdowns of all the restaurants and the schools. And there was a big concern about food insecurity. On a good day in Asbury Park, you have a third of the population that is on or below the poverty line. Most of the students in Asbury Park schools are on some sort of free and reduced lunch. And with the schools being closed and with the restaurants being shut down, we were worried about how are we going to feed our residents. Luckily, our schools were able to provide breakfast, lunch, and snack, but there was this void about dinner meals. So we felt that there was a perfect opportunity to kind of join and intersect with the other problem of restaurants needing cash flow to stay afloat, right? And especially in Asbury Park, where the service industry is such an integral part. It's the backbone of our economy here. Shelter in place happened March 13th. By March 19th, we had secured different distribution points. We had secured commitments from various restaurants that said, we need help, we're gonna need help. And we secured our 501c3 in a matter of 3 weeks. Since then, we've distributed over 120,000 dinner meals. We have raised over $250,000 in cash flow to restaurants. And we've had some restaurants tell us that, look, if it wasn't for you guys and your checks and paying us to prepare this food, we would have closed down. We've definitely saved about 35 to 40 jobs in the local service industry.
That's spectacular.
Yeah,
it's amazing. What were some of the biggest challenges having to, get something off the ground in times where a lot of people are so paralyzed and can't get anything done, right?
If you had asked me today how to start an organization like this, I wouldn't know how to look. I wouldn't know what to tell you. It was a combination of luck. It was a combination of the right people talking to one another. Timing was crucial. If we had waited too long or kind of wrung our hands too much about the details, it may have not happened. Luckily, we had my fiance and I living together. We had our friend AK, who is a graphic designer and social media guru, who happened to have been crashing on our couch for what we thought was going to be a couple of weeks, and then shelter in place happened, and she ended up being there for like 5 months.
Wow.
Our friend Kathy Kelly, who owns a small business downtown, and we were all talking to one another and figuring out, what are we going to do? How are we going to save these restaurants? How are we going to feed our people? We just went about doing it, and
you made it happen.
Yeah, we made the phone calls, and we used, our expertise. I'm a nonprofit fundraising professional. So is my fiance. So all the right talents were in place to kind of make it happen. And the backbone of this whole operation are the volunteers. Every day for 6 months, we're distributing food to anyone who needs it. So one of the great things about Asbury Park Dinner Table is that we have no qualifiers, no questions asked, no ID needed. If you need a meal, we're here to share that meal with you.
How many meals do you guesstimate that you'll give out today? Just out of curiosity, at like this location, for example.
So probably at this location today, we'll probably give out about 50 to 70 meals.
Wow.
But we have 5 other locations as well throughout the throughout the city, and we're a pretty small city. I mean, we're a little over a square mile big, but the need is very great.
Huge need. Yep.
It's a huge need, and so each location we kind of 50-ish each location every day. We also have a commissary over at the Asbury Park Food Collective, which we target towards food industry people who lost their jobs, who got laid off, that work in restaurants. Maybe they don't want to go to a church to pick up a meal, or they're more comfortable going to a commercial kitchen, which they're comfortable with, to go and pick up a couple meals. I've had food service people text me and say, hey, thank you so much for doing this. I came and got a couple of meals for me and my kid because I really had to choose, or else I had to choose between food or paying my electric bill.
Of course. And we've learned the bills don't stop, right? But your motivation has to keep going, because you got to weave and bob and make it work.
Yeah. And like I said, luckily the community just rallied around the entire organization.
What are the most important things, and how can we also support you, and how can the community get involved and help out?
Well, the easiest way is to donate. We pay for each meal that goes out. And the easiest way to donate to Asbury Park Dinner Table is to go to asburyparkdinnertable.org. Just click on the donate button, and no amount is too small. Obviously, no amount is too big. That's the easiest way to support us, and you can rest assured that every cent goes back out. No one takes a salary. This is run out of our living room.
Wow.
And it just kind of caught fire. And we like it that way. So it's all volunteer run, and every dollar that goes in goes back out to the community.
That's excellent. What keeps you most motivated? What's your favorite thing, and what keeps your head up?
I mean, doing this, Asbury Park is the greatest small city in America. Why do they do it? You ask people that work for lunch break, or people that do the food bank, or Marilyn Schlossbach, who's got does 5 million charitable things for the community, and it's just that, it's community. And this is just a small way for me to kind of say thank you to the community, and to kind of bring the community together.
Joe, another question for you is, how can we as a community come together and defeat food insecurity?
We shouldn't have to be doing this. This is something where we're triaging, something that is, it's a chronic condition that, because of COVID, has been exposed as an acute crisis. And so we better start looking at the systemic and institutional marginalization that takes place in urban areas, and look to see what we can do as a community to make sure that there's equity, that there's food justice, and that we get together and make sure that we come up with good policy in the future to make sure that we can break the back of chronic food insecurity.
Right, because it all stems from bigger things, right? It's all connected. Food and education and society, just doing the right thing and having healthy minds.
Well, I mean, we live in the richest county, in the richest state, in the richest country in the world. No one should go to bed hungry.
Wow, it's a profound statement. You're right.
It's as heavy as it could get. Food insecurity is something that becomes generational in some communities, and we have to do what we can to triage it and make sure that our neighbors are fed, but also look to our elected officials and community leaders to come up with better policies so we don't have to do this.
Right. I don't want to call something as tragic as a pandemic like a blessing in any way, but if it can bring about people like you and create something like this, right, it kind of gives me hope for our ability to come together and combat issues and try to come up with a solution. But COVID or no COVID, you're right, it's an issue anyway, and it needs to be worked out, and it's bigger than just food. It's a lot of things, but it starts with being able to feed yourself and having money in your pocket to support yourself.
Right.
I mean,
it's not a soup line. We're sharing a meal that's been cooked in Asbury Park by your neighbors and being given to you. So you share the same meal that I do, and your belly is full, and you're happy, and you're done. It's done in a way with the utmost dignity, because these are our neighbors.
So what are the different locations in the city providing food for people?
So we have kind of a cohort of about a dozen or so restaurants at any given time that are participating in the program. They're scheduled by our other co-founder, Kathy Kelly, who has relationships with all the restaurants. They're all coordinated that way. We pay them. They send us an invoice. We pay them to make the food. The food gets distributed out to 3 churches where they've been doing food distribution since March 19th.
Okay.
That's Second Baptist Church, St. Stephen's Church, and United Fellowship Church. And then we also feed low-income seniors in some of the towers, the buildings in Asbury Park. And we do that 3 times a week as well. But those are just for the seniors that live in those towers.
Sure. And it's all about the dinner, right?
It's all about the dinner. That's it.
All right. Feel free to stop by if you're in need, if you want to feel some normalcy, meet some friendly faces. It's really excellent, something we need in these times. And again, like you said, you shouldn't have to exist, but the fact that you do is a blessing to so many people. So we thank you sincerely for all that you do and hope you can keep doing it in the future. Jimmy, we just had 2 inspiring interviews with the leadership of Asbury Park Dinner Table and Lunch Break. We learned about their commitment to solving this food insecurity crisis, and we also saw how they were able to kind of deal with these extra constraints brought on by the virus.
Yeah, it was a special show. Glad to be out there. And we also saw their passion of service and of volunteerism. And, during this pandemic, volunteerism for many of us, helps with anxiety, anger, and makes us happy people. So, a special thank you to those who aren't feeling the effects of COVID-19, but they're also out and about helping others and being a volunteer for many organizations throughout the state. So a special episode. Thank you so much for watching. This is Show Us Everything. And Kyle, when can people watch us next?
You can check us out every Sunday, and you can check us out on the YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Stay updated. And above all else, stay safe.